AD, baby. Been hunting this bear all week.
I grunted at him. He come running back in. We just smoked another giant.
Just an absolute giant. Lifetime bull for me.
Team 200 is presented by Moon Guide. Plan your best hunt.
This year, through my business, Sporting Adventures International, we introduced a new line of hunts that we call our Venari series. Venari in Latin means hunt. We're seeing kind of a trend. Guys are wanting to start going on more of these adventure hunts, and some of the country you get into out there is rough and rugged, and you know, you've got to be in shape. The better shape that you're in for these hunts, the more successful you're going to be. Had a cameraman this year. Kevin went with us. Really had a wonderful, wonderful season. So our first hunt this year was in Kentucky when the season came in September 7th, and we were after a velvet deer, and we had gotten pictures of a giant 8-point, Boone and Crockett 8-point, 170-inch deer. I really wish we'd gotten trail camera pictures of him earlier in the year. We didn't get them until really the very 1st of September, and with the Venari series, we had very limited amount of time that we could hunt in each place because it was destination to destination to destination. That was the plan. You know, we got in there, saw this big deer, had him at 200 yards. Magical, you know, to see a deer like that, full velvet. Normally when a deer like that shows up, I like to spend a lot of time on that particular deer, but our season was different this year. But there were some other good deer around, and with us completely running out of time, we were down to our last afternoon, we decided that, you know, for what we were doing, this Venari series, and wanted to start promoting it through Sporting Adventures, and that was our commitment. Early season Kentucky, baby. We just smoked him.
Luminoc. Lit up. Let's check it out. Look how wide he is.
A beautiful wide 8-point, half in velvet, hunting in Trigg County in Kentucky with Craig Weaver. Good buddy of mine, been hunting with him for 3 years now, and he's a good guy to know in this part of the world. He's got some really good properties, and that's what you got to have. You got to have these bean fields early season, but this is something else. Gonna get him out of here, get some good pictures, and head on down the road. And I was very, very happy to get him. Yes, of course, I would have liked to have gotten the big, 8-point. We knew that may happen, that we may run into a big deer and not be able to lock down on him and hunt him, because we were leaving from right there, literally flying out of Nashville the next day, going to the Gila in New Mexico to hunt elk. Get into New Mexico, and pretty unique deal. I'm hunting with a guy named Matt Gilstrap, and his cabin is an old outlaw camp. We took horses, packed all the way up in, way into the backside of the Gila. It's a 3 million acre wilderness, and started hunting out of a fly camp. You get up there and you hear the bulls bugling all night long, and it just gets you fired up and motivated to get out the next morning and get after.
I can't believe it. We've got a giant deer on the ground. By far the biggest buck I've ever killed.
And I had a Ozonics pointed. He didn't pick up anything. Gave me a 30-yard shot.
Thank God I have an Ozonics.
Start seeing more deer more often and closer than you ever thought possible with Ozonics. Ozonics is the only product that actively and continually attacks game spooking odor in the downwind airstream during your entire hunt, allowing you to beat an animal's #1 defense, its nose.
Joe Miles has traveled to New Mexico to hunt elk in the Gila Wilderness National Forest with outfitter and guide Matt Gilstrap. The team is packed into the backcountry with horses to a remote spy camp where they will hunt by foot in some challenging country.
The Gila it's rugged. We've been training all summer for this, and we're in really good shape, and that's kind of the point behind the Venari series is to get in shape during the off season and be ready, to go on these more extreme type hunts. We got up early, hiked out of camp, immediately got into bulls. Elk hunting it's just as majestic, and they're just an unbelievable animal, to be able to hunt. And we're fortunate to have them, here in North America.
Not quite big enough for what we're looking for.
It starts getting hot. We have to hike a long way down and up. Most of the elk had kind of bedded down. This is 10 or 11 o'clock. He got back there and did a phenomenal job calling. That bull bugled 3 or 4 times. You could tell he was moving. He showed up out in front of us.
Until you have experienced a large bull elk in bow range, screaming at the top of his lungs, and every hair on your body is standing on end, you just haven't experienced bow hunting.
I went to move my bow, and the bull saw me, and he stopped and he pinned me. But then he relaxed. Matt called again, Cal called, and he kind of relaxed and he turned and started walking away from us, and I got drawn. And he ran about 80 yards and he goes down and the celebration begins.
Oh yeah, down right there. Down. It's the most awesome hunt of my life. He's dead. Right there. It's a giant bull. It's the best hunt of my life. Kevin, great job. Take your mask off. Right there, Kevin. Did a wonderful job. We got it all. Matt Gilstrap is the man behind the camera right now.
Bull's laying down, head on the ground, and we look and his head comes up. And then he stands up, and I have to make a move on him, and he took off, and he's gone.
So we start trailing him. We can't find any blood, so we're tracking him, but it still looks like a good hit. Maybe a tad bit back and maybe one lung, but it looked good enough to kill him. So we jumped him out of his bed, and he took off, and we got separated from Matt, who's the guy that knows the area. And it is now 7:25. It gets dark about 8 o'clock, and we're preparing our tent for the night.
Again, a sleepless night. This is our last day. We pack everything up. We come out of camp. I've got to be back to get on an airplane for our moose hunt. Matt Gilstrap, the outfitter, he assured me that he was going to take a team of horses up in there every day and look for this bull, and he found him about 4 days later. I was just, super excited, and he said, I'm going to get him out of there for you, get his skull out of there for you, get everything shipped to the taxidermist for you. We'll find a new Kate. And he said, I'm going to score him tonight. And he called me the next day, and the bull ended up scoring 320 inches, my biggest bull ever. Great that he found him. It's awful all that meat went to waste, but what can you do? That's part of bow hunting, and something you learn from, and you move on down the road.
Coming up next, Joe Miles begins his British Columbia adventure for big bull moose right here on Team 200.
Raw Frozen Scents provide 5 unique scent products. Raw Peak Estrus attracts rutting bucks and is guaranteed to contain 30 plus picograms per milliliter of estrogen levels. Raw multi-buck urine combines urine from rutting, dominant, and young bucks to set off a dominance frenzy. Raw scrape lure introduces a new buck and a new doe to fire up scrape use. Raw calming scent creates calming through the concept of safety in numbers. Raw Body Blast is the first whitetail body scent, the closest thing yet to how a buck recognizes a doe in the wild. Raw Frozen Scents, always fresh, no water or preservatives, and 100% money-back guarantee.
Joe Miles has traveled to British Columbia for his first ever moose hunt with Finlay River Outfitters. It's the 1st of October, and the moose are in peak rut.
You step off the plane and that cold air, hits your lungs. It's the freshest of fresh air, beautiful. And I just felt really fortunate just to have the opportunity to be there, let alone what was in store for us literally the next day.
So we're going to start out right here and work our way
up the river, stopping at the big bends that are open flat, willows, do some calling.
We get out and we hike probably 4 or 5 miles to get back into this beaver swamp that we've looked at, had its own challenges, sneaking up the mud to your knees. So we finally get in there to where we're gonna hunt, and our guide Chris starts calling. It was almost like a turkey hunt, if you will. We'd set up, we'd glass a little bit, he'd call. If nothing responded, we'd move. So we moved about 75 yards away from that little creek, and sure enough, you could hear him in there going, ooh, ooh. He's going down the trail to the right, Joe. I've never seen a moose. He says, man, he's gonna come down that trail right to the right of us. And so I'm kind of set up for both trails. I'm facing this way. You can hear him coming. I mean, it sounds like a bulldozer coming through these willows. Man, I don't know if he's coming right at me, exactly what's gonna happen. Come on. Hold on, no. I had one limb up like this that I had to shoot over. I shot over that limb and hit him a little bit high, but it spined him. It hit him absolutely perfect, and he dropped like a ton of bricks. And I've seen a lot of moose hunts on TV, but I've never seen one just go straight down like that. And I get another arrow in him, and he falls over, and that's the end of him.
Moose, British Columbia, day one. Day one, baby. Oh, that's a big bull, man.
Really don't understand the magnitude and size of these animals. I mean, he was humongous, an absolute giant.
That's unbelievable, man. Day one. That never happens to me ever. And you really don't realize how big they are until that thing steps out. After breaking all those limbs and all that, man. Golly. Day one.
We get a tape measure on him. He's a 52-inch wide moose, British Columbia moose in October. Wow. I mean, just an awesome experience.
For over 2 decades, the Moon Guide has been the #1 rated tool for serious hunters, telling you when giant whitetails will move and where you need to hunt. Now, you can accurately predict the best days and times to catch a big buck moving during daylight with the Deer Hunter's Moon Guide. Are you tired of hunting nocturnal trail camera bucks? Do you ever wonder why some bucks only show up during daylight on certain days each year? The Deer Hunter's Moon Guide is here to help, and it's unlike any other lunar tool you've ever seen. For effective preseason scouting, scheduling time off work, planning out-of-state hunts, and increasing your overall hunting success, simply check the Moon Guide's calendar to find the best days, times, and hunting locations to catch a mature deer on his feet during daylight hours. The Moon Guide is now available as a mobile app too, giving you exclusive tips from the pros, local weather, the rut guide, exclusive discounts, and the deadly red moon data. Plan your best hunt at moonguide.com. Joe Miles is traveling to the Middle East and bow hunting in the mountains of Istanbul, Turkey for IBEX.
The next stop for us on the Venari series this year was in the country of Turkey. You know, we had really trained knowing in the back of our minds that we had this hunt coming up in December. So all summer long and most of the fall we trained to prepare us for this hunt. And when we finally got out of the city into the hunting area, you know, and got in with the guides, you know, that immediate bond, if you will, between hunters, you know, that's something that we saw pretty much right out of the gate.
The shot all finished.
I see him. I see him.
Okay.
He's laying down. He's laying down.
Uzanmış vaziyette oturmuş.
Yeah. We're packing up, going after the king. We got the whole crew here. Got the bow. This terrain is very, very treacherous, so we don't know how close we're going to be able to get to him. It's going to take us a while to get up there. We're in for a heck of a hike.
The language of hunting was there, and we hunted hard. We hunted hard for 7 days in some of the roughest terrain imaginable on the planet.
It's kicking my butt. 1,600 meter climb. I can't do that math. That's a hell of a long way up, and we're about halfway there.
Rugged terrain, it was icy, there was snow all over the place, and frankly, it was scary. I mean, we were scared that if we slipped or made one wrong move, you know, we could slide off one of these banks, one of these rock cliffs, and it was it.
We got close, about 500 yards from him, but we'll be back here at 5 a.m. Get up here tomorrow morning. The moon's right over here, it's beautiful.
We've located a giant. He's way up on the top here. Absolute, just monster. They're saying he's well over 50. So we're down to our last 3 days of hunting, and we're gonna take the rifle and the bow. I don't wanna mess this up. We're down to 3 days, and this was a bow hunt for IBEX, but this thing, I don't want him to get away.
Kevin's running the camera, he's back behind me, and he's basically having to hold on with one hand and film with the other. And I get set up on a pack, and I haven't shot a rifle in, I don't know, 6 years. He's 380 yards, and I get on the pack, I squeeze it off, and I shoot right over his back, and he jumps off the cliff, literally, runs straight down, and we don't have an opportunity for Kevin to move over and get behind me, so there's a huge sense of urgency here.
Okay. Yes!
And he dropped and went straight down, and I mean, it was like nothing I've ever experienced before.
I got him! Holy mother of pearl! Woo! I got him! The king is dead, baby! Holy moly! Here he is. Oh, that only took an hour to get over here.
And that's what it's all about. It's about the experience, the memories that you're creating and that you can share with others. It really was the hunt of a lifetime.
He's a giant. My gosh. Whew! Look how old he is, where he's worn that down. Yeah, from where he fell. God, the hooks on this son of a gun. This is something I've wanted to do my whole life in these mountains. This is the toughest hunt I've ever been on, and I've always wanted a giant Bezoar IBEX. I've been looking forward to this since I was a kid. This is the toughest hunt I've ever been on. It is the most physically demanding hunt I've ever done.
We're really excited about the future of the Venari series and the hunts that we're going to be able to offer to guys, and feel like this is going to be a really, really successful project, and can't wait for the 2014 season to get going.